Welcome back. Welcome back, everybody. Happy Veterans Day. Thank you for tuning in. Thank you for joining us. We are here doing this Veterans Day special on such a special day with a couple of good guys that decided to come join us. And some of them you know, some of you don't. And if you don't know them, well, you're going to get to know them today. But before I go any further, let me let you know that we are streaming across all the platforms: Facebook, LinkedIn, YouTube, Twitter, and Twitch, as well as on everything Safety FM, the safetyfm.com.live, and the Safety FM app over on the radio station. So if you're tuning in, it is 7 o'clock at the top of the hour. So without further ado, let me go ahead and jump in and get our guest on here. And of course, now can you hear me? Now can you hear me? Can you see me? Good, good, good. Okay, we're back. We are back. So let me introduce our first guest. You've seen him in the chats here on the X-Factor Safety on the Fireside Chat. None other than Mr. Don Kramer. How are you, Don?
Pretty good, Pedro. How you doing?
Good, good. Thank you for being here and being able to bless us with your presence on this great Veterans Day. So
well, thank you. It's an honor. I'm very humbled.
Yeah, definitely. It was good for you to accept and say yes. Not very many people said yes, but now we're gonna introduce Mr. Mike Goal. Mr. Mike, how are you?
I'm doing great. Thanks for having me. I mean, this is a first for me. So you're breaking the cherry tonight.
Oh man, this might get a little rated R,
Same
guys.
here.
So hey, it's all good. It's all good. And then we got our good friend, Mr. J Rod. You know him, Jared Tomasi. What's going on, brother?
What's going on?
It's always good to see your face, man, on here. So
it's been a while.
Yes, it has. It definitely has. So on this Veterans Day, you know, there's a lot of stuff that's going out in on social media, a lot of stuff that's going out in the world today. The pandemic that, you know, has really taken a toll on everybody. And today is definitely one of those days where we want to pay homage and tribute to the veterans. You know, all of us on here are veterans, but, you know, the ones that, you know, went before us, the ones that are coming after us, we definitely want to salute, and hats off to them. So I greatly appreciate you, brothers and sisters.
Absolutely.
So diving into it, who wants to go first? Tell us about your best experience, where you come from. Let's just let it all air out.
I don't think you get enough time to cover 26 years. Come on.
Well, we can try. We can try to
I'll
squeeze
give
it in.
it a shot. So I guess I'll jump in first, right? I joined the Air Force in '84 out of Mechanicsburg, Pennsylvania, and I tried the college thing. That didn't work out too well for me, and then was just going to do the 4 years in bail, just get the job experience and the training that you would need to get a job. Even back in the '80s, that was something you needed. Next thing I knew, I was stepping foot doing 26 years, and I never looked back. But I think, you know, some of the highlights I had, meeting some phenomenal people and, you know, building lifelong relationships is probably part of it. But I got an opportunity and the honor to serve 3 years with the Thunderbirds. And, they paid me to go around the world to do air shows and have Thunder groupies and all that. It was just an absolute blast. But I think the highlight of my entire career just encompassed it into recruiting, when you know you can go out there and and have a conversation with a young person who doesn't necessarily know what direction they want their life to go into. And you can bring to them another opportunity that they may not have even thought about. And, as an Air Force recruiter, obviously that was my pitch, but I never stinted any of the other branches. There was a friendly competition amongst all of us, but I grew up in the Army and had a lot of opportunities to help these young people. And that was my last 10 years in the Air Force. And a lot of kids I touched, a lot of lives I was able to change and benefit. And there's still quite a few of them that still keep in touch with me. So, if you can find an opportunity or find a profession that you can make the difference in somebody's life in a positive way, just run with it, And I was blessed to do that in recruiting, and now in the safety world, holy moly, we do that on a daily basis.
Oh, yeah, definitely. What about you, Mr. Don?
Well, actually, I first go around with the military. I was combat engineer, United States Army. Army Reserve, 12 Bravo. So I went and joined the Army Reserve my junior summer in high school. Went to boot camp out of Lost in the Woods, out in Missouri there, Fort Leonard Wood. Came back, finished out my senior year in high school, and then turned around and realized I didn't like camping as much as I thought I did. So I decided I wanted to travel. And there I go. I went and joined the Navy and got stationed over in Yokosuka, Japan, on board the U.S. Midway. And I was on board her the whole entire enlistment. Got to ride her back after the Desert Storm. Got to ride her back to San Francisco for decommissioning, and took her up to Bremerton, Washington. And then I disembarked there, and then they steamed her down to San Diego and made a museum out of her. Kind of like me.
Nice.
Old, about ready to retire.
Nice. And now what about you, Jared?
I'm just in awe of these guys, man. It's so cool. So what was my story, man? I was running from the school of hard knocks. I was born in East Los Angeles, and it wasn't easy. And personally, I chose to go the military route to get myself out of that environment, and then into it, meet some brothers and sisters, and then give me some college money. And 1995 is the best thing I ever did. Was join the Army. Funny story is that I originally wanted to be in the Air Force. All my uncles were Marines. We all learned not to be Marines. And they all talked us into being Air Force. And so I went to an Air Force recruiter, and I was signed up for pararescue, but they had the late entry program. And as I came out of MEPS, awesome. There was this staff sergeant from the Army smoking a cigar, and he saw like a discouraged look on my face. And he said, what's wrong? And I said, man, it's 6 months before I go in, and I'm thinking, I don't want to be on these streets no more. And he goes, what if I get you in a month?
Oh, geez. Great sales pitch.
Yeah, really, really. And so come on in. He says, I got 5 great jobs for you: infantry, scout, tanker, combat engineer, and artillery. And I said, well, engineer sounds smart. So I'm going to do that. so 12 Bravo, man. Here's to all the 12 Bravos. So great time, man. Same thing. Fort Lost in the Wood, Missouri.
Thank you.
Yeah. Took that to first Cav in Fort Hood, and then over to the second ID in Korea, and over to Fort Lewis and Triple Nickel, and ended up re-enlisting as an Army combat medic, and then got out and went to the EMT, paramedic, firefighter, now safety route. So pretty funny story, man. I know we all have them. So yeah, I'm smart engineer.
Yeah, no, definitely. And those that know me, I enlisted.
Well, there is some math involved in that.
Yes, there is. And you
got to calculate the C4.
2 plus 2 is 4.
Yeah, you just, yeah. Like we just 2 balls or 1 ball of it, like
right? Yeah, which one?
A big one or a little one?
See, and then my story is kind of again, I'm amazed by all of you guys' accomplishments, and I enlisted right out of high school. It was 2002 when I graduated, and so it was a year after 9/11, and I was seeing all the I remember 9/11 so vividly, being in my economics class, and I seen they rolled in the TV screen and put the news on, and I was like, man, I gotta do something. We have to do something. So that following year I ended up enlisting to the Navy. But it was crazy because I'm partially colorblind, believe it or not. So they only gave me 3 options: go yeoman, admin, be a cook, or undesignated, and figure out which division would end up taking me. But if I go surface, I'd have to go undesignated. They didn't have any spots open in the other 2, so they offered me being a submariner, going on a submarine. I was like, hell yeah. $20,000 enlistment bonus. I get extra hazard duty pay. Guess what? I was crazy enough to go on a ship that goes underwater and stays underwater. So it was a very, very good experience. Spent 6 years in the military, traveling the world, underwater, covert operations, the silent service. You don't really hear us as much, but it was definitely a good experience. And now transitioning, and what's cool about it, and everybody that's watching, that we all transitioned into the safety roles after X amount of years of being out and doing what we did prior. But why did you guys get into safety? What made that transition happen for you?
So it was kind of crazy deal, right? I got a job as a senior recruiter with an oil and gas company. And, safety was always something that was there, in the flight line, whatever it was you were doing, you had to pay attention to the dash ones and all that. But one day our training manager, our safety manager came down to my office. He said, hey, we need to hire a safety trainer. And I just went into recruiting mode. It's like, I know 6 guys I could probably call. Just give me the job description and I'll get on it right away. And so I said, all right. And he said, great. So next morning I'm driving into work and I start thinking about it. Had gotten my degree in workforce education while I was still active duty. And I said, well, that's, you like training. It was something that you did while you were in the Air Force. You enjoyed doing those things. So why not, go ahead and put your name in the hat. And of course, the other voice comes over and says, you don't know anything about safety. But if you don't try for it, you don't have anybody to blame for but for yourself. So right. I went on in. I talked to him that morning. I said, "This is my thought." He said, "Give me your resume." 2 days later, I did the interview, and they gave me the job. And all of a sudden, I was a safety trainer and trying to figure the safety thing out. And it just through the years of studying and doing OSHA 10s and OSHA 30s and all this other stuff, kind of turned into a safety professional. And like recruiting. There's a similarity. You get a chance every day to go out and make a positive impact on somebody's life and maybe get them to go home that day to do it all over again. And that's just, I'm in a job that fits my passion, and it just worked, in a probably a miraculous kind of way of how it all got put together.
Yeah, definitely. What about you, Mr. Don? What transitioned you from, the military over into what you're doing now?
Well, there's a couple of things really, if you think about it. So I've always been, I don't know how to put it. Like I've been pretty much a hard charger all my life. Okay. Worked on the flight deck of the aircraft carriers, Midway it was all hump and bump,
Mm-hmm.
Pardon my French. I think we can cuss on here. It's all assholes and elbows, right?
Yep.
So,
yeah.
I didn't even hear you cuss.
Got out. Okay, thank you. There you go.
There's a Jay Rotzi
went
version.
back into construction. That's where I spent again. Yeah, exactly. I got into construction. It was all heavy industrial infrastructure, powerhouses, chemical plants, oil refineries, things of that nature. That's all. It's a hard charging world there too. What basically transitioned me over to the safety is all the aches and pains that I have in my body every day. That kind of, led me to believe that, hey, look, maybe you're doing something a little bit wrong. No, actually, I really did literally fall into safety. I took a fall in 2010 that, thank God I'm alive. Broke my back in a few places, had a couple surgeries. I had to teach myself how to walk again after 18 months. I decided I wanted to try to get out of the construction market and go general industry. I just wasn't ready to put my tools back on. Got into a factory as a machine operator, realized 5 minutes later, that's not what I want to do. Stand there and push a button for 8 hours a day, watch a machine cycle. So as a construction worker, I'm in its trade. I dealt with hazardous material remediation in the asbestos, mold, lead type stuff. So being in a regulated industry, I decided, hey, what the hell? I already got some proficiency with regulatory compliance scenarios. Let's give the safety thing a try. And I was probably the best decision I ever made in my life, because within my being out of school for almost 30 years, when I went back to college,
Wow.
it just lit a fire. It just lit a fire of passion, in my heart and in my soul, that here I am today. I'm still a little fledgling in the safety world. I've only been doing this now full time for a little bit over 6 years, and every day it's a wonderful thing. It's not a job. It's not a career. It's my passion. It's what I love to do, and I get up and I go in every day, trying to make that difference in somebody's life, so they don't. I was that old cantankerous ass over in the corner giving the safety guy a ration of crap every day. I was that guy, and now here I am. I get to put on the hard hat every single day, go in and try to make a difference in somebody's life.
Nice.
To be able to watch them go home at the end of the day. That's how I measure my success.
Nice. What about you, J-Rod?
Yeah, so I definitely feel safe around you guys. And and I love your story of perseverance.
No, you don't.
I really do love your story of perseverance, man, and bless you for going through that and using that experience, I'm sure, to help others, kind of protect themselves from the same things. But for me, man, I'm an old Led Zeppelin fan, and it was kind of like the stairway to heaven. I don't know if the safety field's heaven, but it was definitely a lot of stairs. 25 years of stairs, and going from the military, which taught you, first of all, we're in safety because we serve, right, and we protect. So for me, on a 500-acre site here, there's nothing different between the battleground here and there, except our tanks are cranes, and there may not be bullets flying, but there's dropped objects. I feel like I'm back where I belong. But long story short, beyond protecting and serving is crisis management and teamwork and leadership skills and hazardous materials and experience, education, culture, certifications, and then education just kind of happened over 25 years. But I landed in oil and gas in 2008 as a critical care paramedic in West Africa, and all of this was not planned. I'll tell you that. And in 2009, one of my friends lost his life to a fatality of simple hot work in the Swiss cheese model. And to be honest with you, as a soldier, I was reactive, and as an EMT, I was reactive, and as a paramedic, I was reactive. As a fireman, I was reactive, and I was tired of being reactive. And so I went to my operations manager, said, "I'm not into this helping when it's already too late. How do I get into to protect and serve and make sure it doesn't happen?" And pushed me down the route, man. He became my mentor, and here I am, over a decade later. In a position I still don't know how I got here, man, but I think it's just hard work, man. Hard work, good times, and letting the dominoes kind of fall how they naturally would have. And if you look at a lot of our stories, they look very, very similar, so I would lead into this for those out there who are listening that are veterans and maybe you're looking for a career. Safety is one of those I think you'll feel very comfortable in, but it's not easy. I can tell you that. That's why I would say we're kind of designed a little bit for it. So that's how I ended up in this office.
You hit the nail on the head, J Rod, right? I mean, it's this whole idea of a band of brothers, right? That's what we're brought up with. We don't, we leave no man behind. We watch out for each other. The IGY6, I got your six mentality that literally is beat into us from day one, and when you get out, you've got to learn how to throttle back and you start looking for the same kind of things that made you feel worthwhile. And like you said, safety is definitely that. Yeah, it's not easy. But at the end of the day, when you turn the light switch off, if you made that impact and everybody goes home, you know what? That just makes it worthwhile.
Yeah. My goal is I basically try to save six to 8 lives a day. Just can't prove it.
not right now and not today. You can.
Today I saved 6 people from
yeah.
Hey, that's a great EPR bullet, man. Come on.
And
look, I usually try to keep from putting 6 people to sleep. That's my goal every day. I got a big training class tomorrow. I got to go through.
So the way to get around that, and again, we're doing this on Veterans Day and really reaching out to veterans that are in transition, that are just getting out. Veterans that might be, looking, safety is one of those, career paths that it aligns so much, just like the military, with, the order and discipline that you have to have in this profession. So if you need somebody to reach out to, all of these people on here right now, and then all of our networks that we have, I mean, it just accumulates, and there's lots of resources out there for you. So do not hesitate to reach out. Yeah. But to what you said, Don, that you have a class and you try not to, put people to sleep. Not saying that you do, but if you start to, they start to fade on you, pause what you're doing, crack a joke, go over there, talk to them, have them get up and, give their stories, get their engagement, because that's what goes a long way, is them actually engaging and leading your class.
Exactly.
Yeah, and you'd be amazed, right? Coming out of the training world like I did.
I definitely say that jokingly. Yeah. Oh no.
Yeah.
Hey, dude, we've been there.
Believe me, I remember in boot camp going through all the training classes at boot camp. It's all you can do to stay awake. But my classes all my training sessions are, most definitely. I've seen people stand out on a firing line, out on a range, sound asleep with a loaded M16 in their hand. I was one of them. But anyway, it's not fun. But no, my training classes, I engage. It's always a lot of fun.
Good.
It's all my training classes are very interactive. I don't believe in that. That's the way you learn. Engaged. Retention, and the possibility of retention is a lot more if you keep them engaged. So,
and you may not think that the stories, you may not think the stories we've got over our military careers would relate to oil and gas or construction or something like that, but they really do. I mean, there's so many similarities, of what we did in the military and now what we do in this world, right? I think some of the greatest safety instructors I've seen had some military background, and they threw that into the mix. And it's a great job. Come on, join the ranks.
Yeah, definitely. Jesus says howdy. Roy Soto says, hey Pedro, what's going on? Steve Bell, what's up? Mr. Steve, how are you?
What up?
Shane Oliver, what's up, everyone? Happy Veterans Day. Happy Veterans Day to you too, brother.
Yeah, thank you, Shane. Appreciate you, brother.
Thanks, Shane.
Boots on the ground. Steve Bell said boots on the ground.
Boots on the ground.
And that's really, yeah, see, look. Yeah. Good thing we don't have smell-o-vision, because I bet that damn thing stinks, dude.
Yeah, but come on, boot fire under here too.
Yeah. Getting some of them sneaker balls you put in there. No, but and again, boots on the ground. Yep. Exactly. Gold Bond. Love it.
Come on, brother. All over, dude.
Gold Bond.
Speaking of boots on the ground, you know,
Lifesaver.
yes, it is. It very much is.
Wait, and
But
where did
being
you
boots
learn
on the-
about Gold Bond?
Say again?
Where did you learn about Gold Bond?
Military.
There
Military.
you go.
Yeah, the military.
Exactly.
But being boots on the ground, you know, so what tactics do you use being boots on the ground to go out and engage? And if you come across, say, a hazardous situation, how do you attack that?
Want me to fire on this one?
Yeah, go ahead.
First of all, yeah, I try to walk and talk and act like them. Be honest. Straight up in the mud, in the rain, cold. Today it was cold. I was just doing what we do, breathing frosty air and just enjoying the hell out of it, you know. And so when I approach, the first thing I do every time is make sure they know who I am and what I represent, because there's no surprises, you know. For example, I had six folks out there today, and none of them had gloves on, and 3 of them had no safety glasses on. And I know it's low-hanging fruit, but my mind wasn't really thinking about the low-hanging fruit. I was thinking more of the causal factor of that. So I was curious, you know. So I started walking up, and I'm telling you, it's muddy and it's dirty, and they all started doing exactly what I thought, which was putting on gloves. I said, "Whoa, dude, I'm not going to tase you. I'm not going to tackle you. I'm not going to give you a ticket. Don't do it now." I said, let's just see. I want to figure out what's going on here, you know? So I said, you guys, it's interesting to me because when I get out of my truck, the first thing I do is I'm like, check. And even when I go to take the glove off for the phone, I'm like looking around, you know, make sure there's no webcams, no nothing. It's very nervous and concerned because it's in my values, you know? And I said, it's in yours. But yet you took them off knowing that you're poised to put them on the moment you saw someone approach. I said, what made you fight against that core value? And, you know, they thought about it and they didn't know. And I said, let me ask you this. I said, so I just want to know, right? So I guess my tactic is, 1, let's just calm everybody down, right? It's not, this ain't an emergency. 2, let's find out why. Why? You know, just what's your thought process, man? Is it intentional? And neglect? You just don't care? And if all those we could fix. So I'm not worried about the answer. But I asked him, I said, you know what? Where's your foreman? Have you seen him today? Nope. So here's the deal. Leadership. Where are you at?
Yeah.
I will be honest with you. If I took 30 minutes off today and my leader didn't say anything, and then tomorrow I took 30 minutes off and he didn't say anything, I might the next day take 35. And the next day I might take 45. And then maybe a week later, I'll try and take an hour. Right. And then eventually I'm just not showing up. Well, here's the same thing with PPE is they're just not showing up. They don't have that person saying, hey, John, your old lady's going to be pissed off you come home without a finger. You know, it's just got to be something like that.
Yeah.
Intentional all day. So to me, that's kind of the boots on the ground style that I tend to use is 1, first of all, don't turn a glass of water into a storm and figure out the why, because that's the only way you're going to fix it anyways. If you do anything different, I think the dialogue is going to break down. People are going to be pissed off. You're going to affect morale. Now, the one caveat to that is attitude. Extreme ownership. You've got to be open to the discussion with the safety folks. You know, if you can't do that, you probably don't belong on the site. But that's rare if you do it right, if you approach right. I think you don't go there that quickly. So that's boots on the ground, Bubby.
Yeah, no. What about you, Mr. Mike?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, well, you know, one of the things that I've learned through, you know, doing this job and now in the role that I'm in, you know, I like to ask the question, especially to the leadership in the field, right? What's more important, relationship or compliance? And, you know, you get the old school guys that are out there. It's like, we want compliance. They're going to do exactly what I told them to do. And I say, well, that's fine and dandy, but do they really want to do it? You know, so it's for me, it's all about building the relationships with these guys out there in the field, you know, and as they get to know you and they understand that you're not there to, you know, cut their legs off. You're not there to just to stop work. You know, you're there actually to help them out, and you really do give a shit about, you know, what it is that they're doing and what's important to them, because you took the time to have that conversation with somebody. And as you start to build those relationships of trust, you know, that the compliance comes naturally, right? Like J-Rod was saying, you walk on a site, you can all of a sudden see now with the, you know, the COVID, oh, they're putting their masks up and all this other stuff. It's like, yeah, it's too late now. I already saw you. You know, let's figure out what, you know, like J-Rod said, why did you decide not to have that on? Why are you not wearing your gloves? Why did you decide to just go ahead and do that tack weld, you know, without putting your mask down?
Mm-hmm.
You know, but if they trust you, they'll talk to you. You know, and I've found too, some of these guys, they'll tell you stuff as the safety guy that they won't tell their boss, their partners, their wives.
Yep.
You know, but it's about building the relationships and that trust factor that we had to have in the military too, right? I mean, it just carries naturally over. You know, and if you need to be the cop, if there's an IDLH, right, you're going to do what you got to do.
Not different.
And then have the conversation afterwards. As you know why I did what I did. And explain it to them, right? I think it's the why is important, you know?
Yeah, definitely. What about you, Mr. Don?
Well, you know, it's real simple. Two words that were discussed here by J-Rod and Mike. One, leadership and relationships. Okay. You show me a successful company, and I'll show you a company that's got engaged frontline leadership. Their foremans, their general foremans, their boots on the ground from the operational side, take stock in safety, you know, and they want to make sure their people are going home every single day. You know, that's what leadership's about, you know, and then the relationships, you know, I guess I'm kind of lucky. I spent 30 years, you know, in the field on my tools, you know what I'm saying? So I can talk the talk. I can walk the walk. I know what these guys have been through. I know the challenges that they face every single day. Look, I'm an insulator. I'm not an iron worker. I'm not a pipe fitter, you know, but I've been around them. You know, I've worked side by side with them every single day. I see for 30 years, I've seen the challenges that they face, and I understand what they go through, you know, and if you can effectively engage and when you're out there on a construction site in particular, right now I'm inside a factory doing a contract job, you know, but you know, construction's where I'm, you know, been for most of my life. Right. You can walk around in 5 minutes and you can tell who's been in the trenches. You can tell who's been there, and you know, those guys have a tendency to trust me a little bit more because they know I got their back. You know, if I walk around, I see somebody doesn't have their gloves on, for example, you know, I'll go over, engage them, say, hey man, you know what? Not many people with a stump can swing a hammer. Get your gloves on, protect your gloves. They're the most important tool you got. You know, the safety glass thing. If you can't see, you can't work. That's simple. You know, engage, you know, and approach them and try to, you know, I try to use a little bit of humor with anything I do. You know, I walk around a job site all the time calling myself a jackass. You know, I can't believe I just did that. No hard hat on, you know, halfway across the plant and realize, oh shit, I don't have my high vis on, you know, stuff like that happens all the time, you know, and sometimes I do it intentionally. So, you know, so the guys out in the field can, you know, turn around and say, hey, look, there he goes. Safety guy's doesn't have his glasses on, you know, I'm walking down the road. I'm not, you know, actively working in a situation, but then again, my luck, you know, knowing my luck, you know, somebody drives through with a great all and kicks up a rock and pokes my eye out, you know. Yeah. But, you know, sometimes I do that stuff, you know, intentionally just to make sure that the guys are watching me.
Same as I'm watching they have your back. Yeah, you know? No, exactly. That they
it shows have your I care. It shows they care.
Right. And that culture of them actually grabbing on to the safety culture and believing in it. And like you said, taking stock into what you're putting out there, and they're holding you accountable just as you're holding them accountable.
Exactly.
Hey, Pedro, can I touch base on something Don was saying?
Definitely.
It kind of touched me. Is it kind of goes back to veterans who may be looking to transition or curious about the field. Is Don mentioned something about having his hands on the tools and kind of being where they're from. Veterans worked in the field, in the snow, in the heat, with big tools, on tanks, on weapons, on building tents, with teams, and they had to do it together. You already have experiences that relate to oil and gas, whether it's on a refinery or on a platform or a construction site or a manufacturing site. You already will have a little bit of roughneck in you that the folks are going to respect because you've been there and done that a little bit. Now, some of us did 7, some of us did 10, some of us did 20, and it all amounts to something. When I hire people, I hire them off of education, passion, experience, and certification. Passion's first, experience is second, education's third, and certifications are fourth. That's my decision making, because I don't think you can teach passion. You can't teach experience, and you only want to know what their education is, maybe for a level of a job. And then certifications are nice touches, like bells and whistles on a train. But
the first
military folks tend to have a lot of passion, and they tend to have the boots on the ground experience. So look, if you're out there thinking about it, it might be the right fit,
Yeah, definitely. No, and it's a good,
Look, it was really funny. Just
go ahead, Don.
Yeah, it was really funny. It actually just so I'm, like I said, I'm on his contract, right? And I'm getting ready to finish up his contract. And I went and interviewed with a pretty good sized organization for a regional safety manager's position back in the field. And I walked in and sat down. It was really funny, J Rod. You kind of mentioned, the criteria, how you hire people. And no sooner I sat down, the guy, he's the director of safety for this organization. And he sat down and says, well, how come you're coming in to talk to me about a regional safety manager's position, where you're out in the field and said, you're more qualified to do my job. Certifications, man, they're wonderful, but, I have a few certs, I've accumulated over the years. And I flat out told him, I said, look, it's not about that. I'm not ready in my career to sit down in an office all the time. I want to be out there where the action happens. Boots on the ground, like we said. Safety doesn't happen necessarily in the office. It does to a point. There's administrative responsibilities that go along with that. But I want to be out there where boots are on the ground. And you know what? The guy didn't even continue the interview. 10 minutes within 10 minutes of sitting down and talking to him, he's seen how passionate I was about safety, and he ended the interview. I thought I had the job. He come back. I got that standard letter in the email. Thank you, but we went a different route. I don't know what it is. These certifications and things and qualifications, education are wonderful. To be honest with you, I'm still a senior at CSU. Okay. COVID screwed up my degree. I was supposed to graduate this year. I didn't graduate because of COVID, and they shut the schools down. I still got six classes to do to get my bachelor's, but that doesn't take away the 30 years of experience I got or the passion I have for the business. Not to mention I've had some pretty good people that, have helped guide me along my way. Lorax, for one, love her to death. Sorry, had to get a plug in for her.
It's okay.
But I mean, the experience and the passion, like you said, J Rod, is where it's at. You got to know what you're doing. Yes, I agree. Education and training and things of that nature are a must. But when it comes down to the passion and the experience, you got to have those two, or you're not going to get anywhere with anything.
Yeah, definitely. That definitely goes a long way. And Mr. Steve said, oh, yes, they will tell you things when the trust is there. He also said, Mr. Don, I do that so that it gives them the empowerment to confront people. Who better to confront than the safety guy, right? Safety guy that's out there.
Exactly.
He also said great technique in regards to that. And he says he hires off of passion first, which, again, that's one of those big kid things. If you're passionate about what you do, you have a love for it. You're not going to just be here. I'm just going to punch a clock and, mosey around for 8 hours, 10 hours, 12 hours. I'm actually going to put some value out there in the world and make an impact. Mallory. Hey, Mallory, how are you? She says, thank you for your service. We greatly appreciate it. One of the biggest things and takeaways that I, wanted to get from this is speaking also to the youth. My oldest is in ROTC right now in high school, and her plan is to go to the Army. She's already made up her mind. She wants to go to the Army and follow in the footsteps of her grandfather, who was, full, colonel in the Army. So yeah, exactly. So what advice would you give to the younger generation coming up, in high school, transitioning into the military, or young individuals that are already in there, 18, 19 years old, already enlisted? What advice do you give them? Go ahead, Mr. Mike. You got to unmute.
There we go. Yeah, I want to grab this one. There's so many things that these young guys and gals are confronted with, right? From either their school counselors, their teachers, their friends, social media, all this other stuff that's out there. And what I told them in the past, what I still think holds relevant, is that you find out where you want to be. And it's hard for an 18, 19, 20-year-old kid. Where do you want to be in 5-10 years? What do you want to achieve? What do you want to get out of it? Is that whatever it is you're doing, if you're going to go to school or you're join the military, but try to figure that out. And if it is coming into the armed forces, and I would love to talk to your daughter, Pedro, and let me see if I can't turn her away from the dark side. But I even told this to kids when I was in the recruiting world. It's like, it may not be the Air Force it's for you, but go talk to all of them. See what all the branches have to offer and see which one's going to get you to where you want to be, and understand that it may not be the job that you really want to do right now. But what the armed forces does, and what it did for me, and I'm sure it did for all of us here, it gives you a whole lot of intangible qualities that you can't put on a resume.
Right.
That comes out when you do the interview like Don, through the passion and how you present yourself and that desire to accomplish the task regardless of what the challenges are, because that's how we're trained. But for these young folks, just to, figure out what it is you really want to do, to dive in to find out what makes you tick and what drives that inner want to do something, and then move forward from there. Especially the kids graduating high school with all the challenges that they've had. The armed forces is a viable option. I firmly believe that. I never thought that when I was in high school. I was going to go play baseball. But life throws you curveballs, and then you have to make the best of it.
Play baseball.
Hey, now. The rest of them played golf. I did the baseball thing, yeah. But it's a viable option, but they have to go see them and talk to the people who've been part of it and to see what those options are.
Yeah.
Yeah, I can
definitely.
I love you can't get a recruiter.
Kids transition.
Yeah, it's I would say too is you got to really kind of self-reflect with yourself. So a lot of us, that joined the military, needed a place to go while we maybe figured out some identity things. Wanted our resume to start to build as we decided what path in the career field we wanted to go, and then kind of base some of those off of. For me, I wasn't doing very well in school, and I had to be honest with myself. Do I really want to put myself in a position, maybe in the Air Force where it's much more technical, or the Navy where it's much more technical, giving myself another disadvantage, another huge hurdle in my life, and maybe potential failure on the first step that's positive, And so I decided really honestly that maybe the Army was the best thing for me. That's what ended up happening. I could have told them no, but I said, you know what? I don't think I'm going to be a good pararescue man. I could probably do it physically and mentally, but I don't think the studying's there. For the Marines, I really thought a lot about Marines, and they're a breed of their own, and man, respect them, but they were too intense for me. And to be a combat engineer just sounded right. So exactly what Mike was saying is you got to test the waters and be honest with yourself and ask yourself where your personality fits, even within the demographics of a branch.
Right.
And those 5 combat were perfect for me. But
Nice.
that's why your daughters and everybody out there should be talking to the folks on these things, because there's also folks that are trying to talk you into some stuff that probably isn't a good fit for you as well.
Right.
So.
Yeah, definitely. Go ahead, Mr. Don. I know you had some things that you wanted to put out there and what you do, what information you would give to the youth.
Well, with kids, kids transitioning from high school in, whether it be college, trade school, or the military, it kind of depends on who you, as far as the military is concerned, kind of depends on who you talk to. If you go and talk to an Army recruiter and you tell them, if you're honest with them and tell them, well, I'm thinking of looking at other branches of the armed services, well, that Army recruiter is going to say, well, if you want to go, to work 8 hours a day, be at home after 8 hours, living on base and this, that, and the other, then join the Air Force, it's a country club, if you want to go, dress up like a tin soldier, then, join the Marine Corps, if you want to go, play with some pretty big toys, join the Army, and then, come back and talk to me, and we'll get you in the Navy where the real stuff happens. So, I'm joking, guys. Of course, I got to get my little pigs in.
Oh man, that's awesome. It's good.
It's
good.
Working on a flight deck of an aircraft carrier, I never met an Air Force pilot who was willing to land an airplane on a moving target. So it does take a special breed.
So we could give you just some advice. So
it does take a special breed.
Don and myself are 24 years old, and this is what happened to us. Mike, he's 73. You see how good looking this guy is? That's the Air Force. This is what happened.
Yeah, you got to get manicures and manicures and massages and all this stuff on base.
Yeah,
in the country.
The beauty of this whole thing.
Right?
We've all served. We've got a commonality. We can joke with each other that other people will, they'll never understand it, right? But there's that mutual respect each one of us have, right? I mean, I didn't want to be a bullet catcher, so I didn't join the Army.
Right.
I'm not wired to be a Marine because I'm not that insane, and I like the water, but not enough to live on it for my lifetime.
Very
so
true.
It made sense to go into the Air Force. And oh, by the way, where did you guys want to go when you wanted to eat good food?
The Navy.
The Air Force Chow Hall, dude.
There you go.
There you go.
I was like, what? You can leave your tray on the table?
That's a whole nother conversation on whose food is better. Me personally, being on a submarine,
right now,
submarine.
Surf and turf on Sunday.
Surf and turf on Sundays.
Surf and turf on Sunday.
Veteran.
There you go.
This is my shadow.
And this is why we do it, right?
And
that's why we do it.
It's time for me to get something to drink. This is exactly why I do it.
Amen.
Exactly. Amen.
That's exactly.
So Mallory is also a veteran. She also said spend your time in the military getting as many certifications and classes as you can. Avoid the parties and set yourself up for a career when you get out.
That's tough.
That is tough, especially when you're living in the barracks. The keg's going to show up on a Friday.
There's training classes in the military. The only place I knew was the enlisting club and then the NCO clubs. That's all I knew.
I don't even remember the military, dude.
I would go to the Philippines 5 times a year on my boat.
And you survived.
Yeah, she also said, find a good senior mentor immediately, set goals, explore your options, and don't be afraid to change jobs during your enlistment. Start looking for a job long before you get out and document everything.
Everything.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Hoorah.
Absolutely.
Nice.
You can find that trusted mentor.
Yeah.
Who's going to stay with you,
Navy
not just through
construction.
your
There you
military
go.
career, but even afterwards, right? You know?
Yeah. Navy
Yeah.
CB here. We are from sea, fight on land, and fly to deployment. Best of all worlds. Good job. Thank you,
Very good.
Mallory. Thank you for your service. Greatly
Thanks, Mallory.
appreciate it.
Yep.
So with that being said, now, we've talked about where we've been, where we came from, what we would give to the youth and how we impact people. Now, where are we going? Where do you see yourselves? And obviously we can't even count 2020. We'll start from 2019 and just skip 2020 altogether, and 2021 coming up, the new year. Hopefully it's way better than what this past year has given us. But what's on the horizon? What is in the works for you gentlemen?
Well, I don't want to throw away 2020. I transitioned right at the end of 2019 into this new gig that I've got now, and it's been a challenge, obviously, through the year. But that's one of the beauties of the role was the challenges that came up through this entire COVID experience that we've had. But for me personally, it just continue building the team that I've got around me. I've got some terrific folks that work for me directly, which has been a change over the last 8 years because I didn't have anybody. But I got a terrific team to just continue to build on them, make sure that they understand, why my passion is so important to me and that they kind of do the same thing, but chase after those certifications and look for ways to make themselves better. I do the same thing. I'm sitting through ASSP classes this week. But for me, it's just making a difference within the organizations that I'm overseeing, developing a culture and changing a culture that, from the construction world, it sounds lovey-dovey, but a culture of caring, to where we care enough about each other to take care of one another, that we understand what it means to be our brothers and sisters keeper and drive a culture that really does value the individuals more so. There you go. I mean, Rod, yeah. But that's what it's about, and building that culture and the challenges that are there that's going to be present because it's requiring the ivory tower buy-in. I can talk to field guys all day long and I can get them to do what they know is inherently right. But to get that, coming from the top is the challenge. So that's where I'm at. That's what I see 2021. It's just another page unfolding into this chapter that I've gotten myself into, and I look forward to whatever challenges it brings, and continue networking with guys like y'all here, and keep finding other avenues to get better at what we do.
Yeah, I can take more maybe a little bit of an internal perspective. It's funny because you mentioned 2019 and then skipped to 21, and we all want to talk about 2020, and for me, the greatest storms in my life have led way to the most beautiful lessons learned. And I'll tell you what I learned about 2020 is how important family is, right?
Absolutely.
I slowed down at work from a workhorse to a hard worker, right? Taking that time to make those phone calls and slowing down a bit, and no one's really noticing but me and the stress within me. So that's first of all is focusing back on control. I watched 2020 show me that I am not in control, and that it's important to remember we're here once, and to really enjoy as a self-reflection. And so, man, I have been focusing on just kind of enjoying the moment again, and looking at life from a different heart posture. And this is going back to, I will tie this back in. All of us philosophical safety folk will tie it back in. But the other part is, man, is being empathetic to others. The more that happened to me, the more vulnerable I decided to become, the more folks started to share with me. And I realized, wow, we're in this together. A lot of us are dealing with some mad science. There's some stuff that's happening. And so me as a safety professional, probably the best year of my life, man, because I have taken, I am not by any means non-compliant or a pushover. I am a different person because of 2020. And my approach it has really, it's sharpened me. So, be a light, man. That's all I can say is be a light, because you're not in control, So that's
hoorah, J-Rod. I like that, brother.
Yeah.
How about you, Mr. Don? I think we lost Mr. Don.
Oh no,
he froze, dude.
Yeah,
Hey, dude.
Put it on pause.
Yeah.
Mallory said, how do you guys help bring awareness to your companies about the value of veterans beyond your own performance?
Man,
go ahead, J-Rod.
And I'm sorry, I just so first of all, just remember that most companies do have an inclusion program or a corporate inclusion program, and one of the things is you'll see young professionals, ladies, LGBTQ, folks of color, and then the veterans. Reach out to them, and if they don't have one, establish one. The one cool thing about veterans is we're the only minority that has every minority in it. So it's a kind of a neat, interesting perspective. The second thing is when we are in tough times and we're reunited as veterans within an organization with different pasts, you become a stronger team because we're like-minded, like ladies. They help one another and influence and inspire one another to be the best they can. And we get sent into the world going from a unit into these single missions, bring the unit back together and take the mission on collaboratively, So be proactive and look for it or start one. I don't think I've never seen leadership say no.
Yeah, definitely. Definitely. There you go.
Hey,
he's back.
Don,
Don, what's going on?
Oh, he took a Navy break, dude. It was 3 hours, 10 minutes or something.
Hey, welcome back, Don.
Navy stress card.
Not much. I lost y'all.
It's all good. It's all good.
Sorry about that.
Yeah, that last question you had, though, Pedro. Outside of the performance, right? Obviously, we're gonna drive our own performance, but I think having conversations with the C-suite, and letting them know that, like I mentioned before, the intangibles that military members do bring to the table that they're not going to find in a lot of people out there on the streets. And if your organization doesn't have a veteran-friendly hiring program, you just encourage and you nudge and you nudge and you nudge, and eventually they'll start to see it. And even talk to them and say, do you know anybody who is in the military? Do you have anybody here who's working in this company besides me who is in the military? And you start asking them about that individual's performance. And I would say 98% of the time, it's going to be positive.
Yeah, definitely. And one of the things is making sure that the transferable skills, maybe what they did in the military, you probably don't understand their job description or what they did in the military, but those skills that they learned, how to problem solve, how to critical think, how to lead, with compassion and understanding how to get a group together and move it in unison, transitions, especially in the real civilian world, to greatness if it's harnessed the right way. And, a lot of recruiters need to understand that. A lot of C-suite personnel also need to understand that. hiring veterans will bring a better, will give you a value set that is untangible, believe it or not, because they mesh well with everybody. They are on the front line. They know how to talk to people, as well as know how to have that upward communication. If I have a problem, I'm going to my superior and following chain of command. And all they ask is for transparency back down, coming from, like you said, the ivory tower back down, So yeah, hopefully we answered your question there, Mallory.
We beat
Don, you back with us?
Yeah, boss. Yeah, I think so.
There
Can you
go.
hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you.
Yeah. Hear me?
Yep.
Well, I don't know. We were before I got kicked off there, so we were talking about, the ivory tower thing. There goes my internet again, is acting up. Talking about the ivory tower and this, that, and the other. Well, I don't know much about the ivory tower. I have a tendency, like I said, to live out in where the boots on the ground type deal. Where I want to aspire to be as far as moving forward in my career. Matter of fact, I just seen a wonderful little thing on LinkedIn earlier this week. A little video of 4 donkeys trying to get over a fence. The first 2 jumped over the fence. The third donkey grabbed a hold of the pole in his mouth and dropped it to the ground. I want to be that third jackass. That's where I live. I live thinking outside the box. That's where I want to. I've always been, like I said, I was that cantankerous person. Rock boat.
Breaking up a little bit, Don. Uh-oh. Lost him again. Had him going, yeah.
He had a great point, though, about trailblazing. Don't trailblaze. Yeah. Reach out. Ask, I'm guaranteed between Mike, Pedro, and myself, we got the policy, we got the plan, we got the signage, we got the whatever. Don't redo it.
No.
Yeah, don't reinvent the wheel, right? I mean, some of the best safety programs out there came from about 4 or 5 or 6 other safety programs that we gathered that stuff in and made the best of it, right? I mean,
yeah.
Even in the training world, if you find yourself in that world, there's stuff that's been built. Just reach out and see. There's times to be a trailblazer, right? But when you're looking at just the basics of what it is that we do, it's already been done.
That's it.
You just got to make it a little bit better.
Yeah, that's it. Don't reinvent the wheel, streamline it, and plagiarism is the best form of flattery. And I say that, if I'm going to copy and paste something, let me take the meat of what you have, apply it to what I need, move some nomenclature around, put my name on it, and it's really not about the program that you're taking. It's how you're implementing it out there, what you're doing. And again, all the signage, all the JSA forms, HSE forms, FEMAs, all of that has already been made for you. There's already a groundbreaking, all you have to do is ask for it. Somebody in our network right here, or somebody in our network that we know in our network has it.
Yeah, absolutely. So, and the same goes for leadership, right? I mean, I was told years ago that by a guy who I thought was a phenomenal leader and a great mentor to myself when he retired. He said, "You're going to be a better leader than I could ever think of being." And it didn't sink into the young, dumb two-striper until years later when, you understand that you become the best and sometimes the worst of all the people that you've encountered. So now I look at myself and I'm not it. I'm not the guy. But I look back on some of the people who I looked up to, and I'm a little bit better than they are, right? So the idea is the same in what it is that we're doing in our profession, right? We're not where we were, but we're getting better every step of the way as we start to build on this and just ultimately make the profession better, make each other better. That's what we're all about.
Yeah, you can think about something cool, like a lot of us who have maybe 15 years or more, you always have the bad casualty, the bad fatality story. A lot of folks these days don't have that. So safety pros, you all been doing good. Those stories you don't hear about them much. A lot of the old dogs, salty dogs, they got stories on stories. They don't feel this much anymore, and that's because we're learning from, right? We're taking plagiarism as something cool. You said
plagiarism, best form of flattery. Yes.
Yeah, just enhance it and then pass it on. Enhance it, pass it on.
Leave it better than the way you found it.
Absolutely.
That's military.
Yep. And the 7 P's, and I know this in the Navy, and you guys probably have it. The 7 P's of the service: prior proper planning prevents piss poor performance. Okay. If you plan everything out, before and ahead of time, guess what? Then you're setting yourself up for success and not failure. And that goes with anything, from onboarding to transitioning out of the military to hiring to, even when you have to let somebody go, you downsize and you have to let somebody go for X reason. But if you prior proper plan, it prevents that piss poor performance. So
it's the old adage of plan your work your plan, but put a comma at the end of that one and say adapt, improvise, and overcome.
Yep.
Exactly. And what's funny is all these transitional words: plan, do, check, adjust. Right. So in the safety field, you hear plan, do, check, adjust. Piss poor plan. We're designed for this job.
Yes.
Not the other people I see that go to this job or EMS personnel, EMTs, paramedics, because they get into the case management side. They start to understand safety from being exposed to safety with case management. So tends to be a trend. But a lot of this stuff applies. It just does.
Yeah.
I always ask myself, how does the world's largest fighting force do so well at safety? Because they've got the best safety programs. We did some crazy stuff, and to be honest, not as many of us got hurt as you think we would have, So we are safety pros.
yeah, definitely.
Yeah.
Right? Your sergeant is, don't you, yep. It's safe. Cool. I've been here since 5 a.m. I got to get going. I love you all. I would love to spend some more time. I'm going to go home, call the family. But I wanted to say happy Veterans Day to everybody. And thank you so much for your service. And Pedro, it was an honor to be on your show. And Mike, great honor to meet you, sir.
Ditto, sir. Ditto. Absolutely.
And, stay in touch, y'all. Hit me up if you need anything, okay?
Greatly appreciate it, Jarrett.
Yeah. Good night.
Thank you, brother.
Good night.
Peace out.
So, Mr. Mike.
Yes, sir.
Again, just me and you. And again, it's been an hour and 10 minutes, and we've hit that mark. So we're just going to run through some comments. Veterans are often seen as go-getters and overachievers. Have you ever encountered an experience where that was a setback, where someone found that as a threat? If so, how did you address it?
So I was working as an on-site safety / HR guy for temporary employees. I get to work at 5:30 in the morning, because that's when day shift was going to start rolling in, and I'd stay till 6 o'clock, 6:30 at night, because that's when second shift would start. And it took my wife to say, "Is there anybody else in your office besides you?" I'm like, "No." So who cares? So, well, the guys care. Well, that's important, right? But then you just have to start to understand that full throttle attitude that we had wearing the uniform. When you take it off, while that was the accepted norm wearing the uniform, it's not in the civilian world. And you start to have to understand what you're sacrificing by continually doing that. So, you take some time at home. because the boss didn't give a crap if I was there for 12 or 13 hours.
Right.
So it was just one of those things. But also, in an interview that I had with another organization, he asked me the typical interview question of, where do you see yourself in 5 years? Well, the only natural answer for me was, well, where you're sitting.
Exactly. And
I don't know if he liked it or not, but he hired me, and eventually ended up, I had to force that company to fire me. But I mean, sometimes that attitude that we have of, well, there's the mountain, and there's a couple of choices. I can either go around it, I can go over it, I'm going to go through it. And you, as the guy who's either my boss or my peer, you have 3 options. Well, really 2 options. You can help me or get out of the way.
Right. And
sometimes that can be deemed as a threat to some other folks that aren't accustomed to that attitude. I'm sure you saw the same thing.
Yeah, definitely. And being, and I was always taught that you train people to take your position. You give them everything and don't hold on to the information. You give them all the information and knowledge, so that way one day they can be able to take your job, because then you are advancing, you are ranking up and moving up in the world. So I have been there, and I tell everybody that I train, anybody that I have and I'm mentoring and training, I'm going to give you everything that I know, so that way you can take my job, so that way I can move up and become, the regional safety director, the corporate safety director, the, eventually president, CEO, whatever it may be. But that's my mentality.
No, and that's what, we're taught, right? I mean, we're also taught that because we transition so often in the military that you're not going to be there all the time. But, one of the things that kind of goes along with that too is never ask your people to do something you're not willing to do yourself.
Yeah.
And I think that goes hand in hand with, well, I'm doing it, let me show you how to do it, because I don't want to do this anymore. So I need somebody else to come take that role. Right. So, yeah.
Exactly. No. And then Tiffany said, thank you for your service, guys.
Yeah,
Tiffany. Tiffany's part of the squad, our free 99 squad. With the backgrounds, this one's one of my favorites. Yeah, had to do it up for Veterans Day.
That's
said
nice.
Steve Bell in the house. Thank you. Love the hat. I will send you one. We will chat after this.
Is that the X-Factor hat?
That is my X-Factor safety hat, my trucker's hat.
Hey, come on, brother.
Yep, I got you. Got you, Mike. Adapt, improvise, and overcome.
Absolutely.
And she said the 7 P's, that applies to all.
Yeah.
Jeremiah said, happy Veterans Day. Happy Veterans Day. Thank you, sir. Gracias. HR and safety. HR and safety guy, both best of both worlds. Right on, Mike.
That was the pure dumb luck position that I fell into, and it worked.
Yeah, no, definitely.
Yeah.
Steve Bell, happy Veterans Day. Great talk. Greatly appreciate you. Squad, free 99 squad. Thanks, Tiff. Right? Hook Mike up too.
There you go. Thanks, Tiff. She got my back. There you go.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. Tiffany, I'm telling you. And, Tiffany's she's, an HR, CEO HR company that she has. And, we chatted on the show, and, great person to talk to on your HR needs, on inclusion, diversity, and really, honing in on a lot of the HR stuff. It was a really great talk, and I'm glad to have her in my network. So yeah, it's an hour and 15 minutes, Mr. Mike. Let everybody know where they can reach you at. How do they get a hold of you?
Yeah, so you can reach out. You can find me on LinkedIn. I'm out there, right? I'm the only Mike Gole, Gole, on LinkedIn. You can track me down on Facebook if you want to. I thought about bailing on that thing. But I figured, I had a lot of positive things to say from the man above, that I can spread some positive cheer that way. So I'm out there as well. If you want to reach out and have a conversation, message me in LinkedIn, and we can share some phone numbers there that way, right? But LinkedIn's probably a good way to get a hold of me. A whole lot of other methods too, but I'm checking that on a fairly regular basis. And it's I'd be anybody who's got any questions, needs help, offer advice. I'll bring it. I'll ask for it.
Nice.
That's how we got connected up here, Pedro. Right? You said, "Hey, you want to talk as a veteran." I'm like, "Absolutely, man." Yeah.
Exactly. Mallory said, "Great talk." Thanks, Mallory, for being in the chat. Amen to the man above. Sending you a note, Mike.
Thank you, Tiffany.
Reaching out, Tiffany. Thanks so much, Pedro. Back at you. Appreciate you all. We are all so grateful for your service. And again, we took that oath. We raised that right hand and took that oath to protect and serve the freedoms of this lovely country. So that way, and it wasn't for us. It was for everybody out there. And I look back and I tell, my daughter, she's going to take that oath and go into the service. You're not doing it for me. You're not doing it for you. You're doing it for the people that are out there, in our country. So happy Veterans Day.
Thank you, Mr. Mike. Pedro.
Yeah, definitely. So greatly appreciate it, Mr. Mike. Thank you very much for hanging out with us and giving us a little piece of you. So we will be talking to you real soon.
Yes, sir. Thank you, Pedro. God bless you, my friend. Cheers.
All righty. Bye-bye. So everybody that's out there, greatly appreciate those that were in the chat and those have been watching us. Let me see who we had. David Moon. Shout out to you, David Moon. Tim Keaton. Eladio de la Garza. Greatly appreciate you for tuning in, giving us that thumbs up. Share this. You can find it on all the platforms, replaying everywhere. So before I go, I just want to say again, greatly appreciate the service members, the veterans that are out there. Thank you very much. Past, present, future. It does not go unnoticed the sacrifice that you guys make. And not only that, the sacrifice that your families make while you're out there on deployment, overseas, doing your tours, traveling the world, protecting our freedoms here. So with that being said, thank you. Thank you again. Ask yourself that one question. What is your X factor? Until next time, we will see you later.